so large, and I can't wrap my head around why it's that big.
That's what she said.
Welcome, welcome, welcome to Better Win Green, eh? To Better Win Green, eh? To Better Win Green, eh?
Welcome into Wildcard Weekend for Intentional Lounging, everybody. We are back with another episode. 6 games to break down with the action. Both of us capture the 1 seed, my Kansas City Chiefs, your guys' Detroit Lions. So congratulations, guys. We will have more on that next week when our teams do get to play. They enjoy a much-needed week off, especially your guys' Detroit Lions. They can use that week. Dan Campbell got a couple more kneecaps he can munch on. He might be looking a little thick next time we see that boy. Let's talk about this first game, guys. We had the Los Angeles Chargers heading to Houston to face the Texans. Texans are 3-point home dogs. This is going to be a tough one. I think me and Wyatt are on the same side, so I kind of want to start with Ethan to hear what he has to say.
This game's tough. This is not a game I'm looking to get involved with on the side whatsoever. I'm actually going to lean the Texans at home, and I absolutely hate it because I've dogged on the Texans all year. This actually might be the first time I've given out the Texans all year. I don't think the Texans are that good. But I don't know. At home here, with their playoff experience last season, the Chargers, they come into this game on a 3-game winning streak to end the year, coming with good momentum. But they beat the Broncos, which was a good win. That was on a short week at home. So those Thursday night games are always kind of random. So, it's a good win against a playoff team, but at home against a divisional opponent on a kind of random Thursday. Then they beat the Patriots and the Raiders. And that's kind of what they've done this season, is just kind of beat up on the weak teams. Their only 2 wins against playoff teams are the 2 wins against the Broncos. Outside of that, none of their wins come against a playoff team. The Texans, though, they haven't been super impressive either. Like I said, I've kind of been down on them all year. Defensively, they're actually a lot better than I think where they started the year, and I thought they were a pretty bad defensive team at first, but I do think their defense can keep them in this one. Offensively, they have not really clicked, but luckily going up against the Chargers, you don't need to put up too many points to keep this within 3 or get the outright win. I feel like I'm just going in circles. This is my least favorite game on the board. But I'm going to lean taking the points with the Texans at home.
Yeah, I'm interested to see how these playoffs go. If you guys have not heard any of my bitching this entire NFL season, the favorites just keep winning. The obvious bets, it feels like, just keeps winning. And it's kind of looking like the same thing in college football in those playoffs. Out of the college football playoff games, only one underdog has covered. Every other favorite has won outright, and every other favorite besides the one has won against the spread. So I'm interested to see if the NFL continues to follow their regular season and then jumps on the college football season, because the obvious play here is the Chargers. Let's be honest. The Chargers, I think, are the better team. I think they're the better coach team. I think they have the better quarterback. I'm also a Michigan homer, so I don't twist my arm to bet against CJ Stroud and to bet on Jim Harbaugh. It's a tale as old as time there, but I am nervous. I am seeing this line creeping towards 2.5. Might get to 2. I doubt it will, but just seems really easy to take the Chargers under a field goal here if that's what the line's at. So originally I would be on Houston, but for my track record in the NFL this year, I'm just going to take the better team. I'm going to take the obvious bet. I'm seeing 81% of the bets coming in on LA on DraftKings, which again I would usually stay away from. But yeah, feed me the Chargers. I think Jim Harbaugh gets it done. Not sold on the Texans, but again, it is public, it is square, but it's been working in the NFL. So it only makes sense as soon as I jump on this side, I start losing. So don't love this game, but I'm going to have to take the Chargers. I'm just going to take a money line.
All right, man. Los Angeles Chargers for me also. I was doing some research, and one of the things that stuck out to me, and I just want to point this out too, what I was doing research for was partly for this show, but also I just came out with a DFS article. And if you'd like to read it, check out bettergreen.com. Listed right beneath me, better, B-E-T-T-O-R, green.com. And guys, I was placing DFS entries over on Underdog, which, funny enough, we're friends with. So people, if you guys check out bettergreen.com, read that article, click that link. The link is in the article. It'll take you straight to Underdog. You guys get free cash that way. But so if you're looking at just the Chargers as a whole, that it looks like they have a really good rush defense, but then you look at yards per carry, and I think it said they were 5th worst in yards per carry. So I think this might be a good game if you are in DFS, any of those type of lineups, or if you play some type of fantasy football playoff format. Joe Mixon is a guy that's kind of being slept on right now because he had a slow into the season, but I think this could be a game where he does a little something. But I do like the Chargers here. They only have to cover the 3, kind of like Wyatt said, especially once you get to the playoffs, you're betting on their quarterbacks and what they can do with their team. The J.K. Dobbins injury does concern me a little bit because this team does want to run the ball. I just think the Chargers...
Wait. He's injured? That guy's as healthy as an ox.
I know, man. I know, but you know what? My boy, Kamani Vidal, is still there. So I'm just saying, put that man in. That man, he's a new Doug Martin muscle hamster, man. He just needs to get thrown in there. Let's talk about the team that J.K. Dobbins came from. But yeah, sure. Ethan.
Sorry, one last thing that I meant to bring up. I did hear this week that since 2002, one method to bet the wild card is the team who had the tougher strength of schedule throughout the year has hit like 62% against the spread. And if it's a drastic difference in that schedule, it's up to like over 70%. Now, strength of schedule varies based on where you're looking. People have different metrics. I'm just quick looking at ESPN. They have the Chargers as the easiest schedule on the season. Houston, not much better, though. They're like, let's see, 16th. So, yeah, they're about half the league better than or stronger schedule. So, something to think about moving forward. I'll try to mention the strength of schedules for each team as we go forward here.
Good point. Yeah, I didn't look at that. And then Wyatt with the betting percentages, I didn't look at that either. So I think we're on a good track here, boys. Let's talk about Pittsburgh heading to Baltimore. The Ravens are 9.5-point home favorites. Wyatt, what do you think about this game? Is this going to be another Lamar Jackson blowout?
AFC North game. Pittsburgh is on the wrong direction right now. Russell Wilson came in, started winning games. They have now lost 4 straight games. Luckily, they're still in the playoffs because of how well they did earlier in the season. But in those 4 games, they did lose to Baltimore. They did lose to Philly. They did lose to the Chiefs, and they did lose to the Bengals. All caliber playoff teams. There's 3 playoff teams. I think the Bengals would have been a caliber playoff team. But not great for them. They're in the wrong trajectory. And then the Ravens, 4 straight wins, including a game against Cleveland where they were 45-point favorites. I think it's easy to take Baltimore the wagon and keep rolling here. It's a really big spread. I never like taking big spreads on favorites. Again, it's a weird anomaly betting year in the NFL. So honestly, do whatever you want. But I'm going to take a shot. I think the Ravens win by 7. So give me Pitt to cover the 9.5.
Yeah, that's going to be my lean too. But again, I just don't love the side here. I think the under might be my favorite play in this game, but I do lean Pittsburgh. And you kind of mentioned it. You just look at, they lost 4 straight. Baltimore has won 4 straight. And not only that, they've won 4 straight by double digits here. So, recency bias here. They've put up 35, 34, 31, and 35. Held their opponents under 20 points in all 4 of those, 14, 17, 2, and 10. I just think recency bias. People are looking at Pittsburgh's fallen off a cliff. Baltimore is hot at the right time, which, yes, Baltimore is hot at the right time. Gun to my head, Baltimore wins the Super Bowl. I think Pittsburgh in a divisional matchup here, 10 points or 9.5, whatever we're sitting at, just too many. So it's a slight lean to Pittsburgh, but I could see this being like a 23-16 type of Baltimore win, just a low scoring, ugly AFC North, everything we're kind of used to in that division.
One of these 3 assholes last week stood up and started screaming into the mic, hey, who's on Baltimore plus 17.5? Baltimore went on to win by 25. I can't remember who that was, but somebody did that last week. And they were completely wrong. This AFC North, I feel like it's always been tough, but it's been weird this year, hasn't it? Like there's been some uncharacteristic games. I'm actually going to be on the Ravens here, and I've been really trying to fade these big spreads all year, but this one just, I don't know, man. Lamar Jackson's been rocking, and I just don't know. I know Pittsburgh, like you said, has been trending in the wrong direction. I just think it's Baltimore right now. It doesn't matter what team they're facing. You just don't want to step in front of them. So I'm going to take Baltimore for that reason. Maybe it's a little bit of a neck jerk reaction off of last week, but they have been putting it to teams. And I think, you know what, you get to the playoffs, if you can put teams away, do it. And I think the Ravens have the ability to do it, and I think they will do it. Game I think might be surprisingly close, though, is Denver at Buffalo. Buffalo's 8.5-point home favorites. Guys, I just took Baltimore at the -9.5. I'm going to be on Denver at the +8.5 here. I just think that's one of the best defenses in the league. Buffalo already really struggles with the skill position players. I keep waiting for Dalton Kincaid. God knows my fantasy roster needs him. It's just not happening with that guy. And this Denver defense has just looked good all year. Now they're coming off a shutout. I know it was the Chiefs backups, but that was a pretty big game for them. To come in after a win like that, I think they're going to be ready to rock. I think they're going to make life for Josh Allen miserable. Now, don't get it misconstrued. I'm not saying that Denver's going to win the game. I think they can. I don't think they do. I think Buffalo wins this game. But I think Denver makes this an ugly, kind of a punt fest, low-scoring game. That's kind of how I see it here. And plus, I think it might be a hard game for Cook to get any running room. Just really nasty, low-scoring. Why? What do you think?
Yeah, trouble with this game for me. Denver's lost one game this year by over a touchdown. That was Baltimore, where they lost by 31 points. So the fact we're seeing an 8.5-point spread here to a Josh Allen team that's notorious for, not making a super deep playoff run. Granted, he gets knocked off by the Chiefs, it seems like every year, but just not a great playoff quarterback in my opinion. He's a regular season merchant, but which is fine for my MVP bet. But I don't know. It just seems so big. And again, I think that the smart play would be Denver on the points, but I'm going to get stupid since I did get a little square my first two bets here. I'm going to take Buffalo. I'm going to take Buffalo in blowout fashion. I know they have a major look ahead spot. I know Baltimore does as well for this inevitable matchup between Buffalo and Baltimore next week in the divisional round, which would be fantastic. Two MVP candidates. I can't wait. I think Buffalo takes care of business, and I think the Ravens struggle, which ultimately will lead me to back the Ravens next week. I got it all planned out in my head, but Josh Allen MVP, Lamar Jackson wins the MVP game, which then everyone's going to be like, why did he win the MVP? Because the MVP is not based off the playoffs. Anyways, I got the whole narrative in my head. I already got the videos made in my head. But, yeah, I'll take Buffalo in big fashion here just because the line's just so large, and I can't wrap my head around why it's that big.
That's what she said.
Not about me.
Oh, well, yeah, me either. You're on the wrong podcast. That's what you're looking for.
Jesus Christ.
I agree with basically everything you just said there, Wyatt, with moving forward, the MVP, all that stuff. But yeah, I like Buffalo kind of in a blowout here, and really the reasoning, I just think Buffalo's such a different team this year than what we've seen in the past. I don't know if this might be unfair to say, but I think we'll all be in agreement. I think Stephon Diggs was that big of a locker room cancer that he just really messed with Josh Allen. I think Josh Allen was just so hyper-focused on keeping him happy, and it just led to bad years in the playoffs, at least, for Buffalo. So clearly, this is their best year in Josh Allen's history at Buffalo, and I think we continue to see that in the playoffs. And you have a rookie quarterback in Bo Nix, who, yes, he's looked great. Personally, I think he should get Rookie of the Year over Jane Daniels. I know Daniel started off the year hot, but Bo finished hot, which I think is a little more important. But yeah, now he has to travel to Buffalo. It's going to be cold. First playoff game. Buffalo's been there, done that year after year after year after year. I think they're the best version of themselves. And you look at the Broncos, they had one impressive road victory on the year. It was at Tampa Bay. But that was back in week 3. Tampa had just come off a road victory of their own in Detroit, beating the Lions in their playoff rematch game. No one knew the Broncos were going to be quite this good. Just a bad spot for Tampa in that one, and Denver took advantage. They lost to Seattle on the road. They did beat the Jets. They beat the Saints, but nothing to write home about there. They lost to 2 other playoff games on the road, Ravens, Chiefs. Obviously, 2 of the top, if not the 2 top AFC teams there. beat the Raiders, and then ultimately lost again to the Chargers and the Bengals. So outside of that bad spot for Tampa, they have not beaten anybody of note on the road. Every time they've had to step up in class, they've lost. Now, Buffalo obviously has to cover a big spread here, but I just think in the playoffs at Buffalo, in their environment, rookie quarterback, I think it's just going to be too much for Denver here. So fun ride for them. I kind of hope Bo Nix and Denver is competitive for years to come, because I do think it's a fun story. I do kind of like Bo Nix, but I think the ride ends here. I think Buffalo wins kind of in blowout fashion.
All right, well, let's flip over to the NFC, guys. Talk about Green Bay heading to Philly. Philly is 4.5-point home favorites. Wyatt, what do you think here, man?
Yeah, tough game here. Green Bay 2 straight losses. Jordan Love with that little hand injury. I think he'll be okay. Jalen Hurts coming off a concussion. I also think he'll be okay. So should be a full lineup today, healthy lineup for both these teams. I'm going to take a shot at Green Bay. I honestly like a lot of favorites this week. I really can't see any favorites losing outright. If there were to be one, maybe two, I think Green Bay has a decent shot at this if they do come out to play like they have in some games this year. This is a rematch from that first game of the year in Brazil, where it was a very competitive back and forth game. Ultimately, the Eagles won it, but yeah, I don't know. Green Bay has the weapons offensively to get it done. I don't know if they can stop Philly defensively, but if Jordan Love and whatever one of his 5 wide receivers, obviously not Christian Watson because he sucks anyways, but he will not be playing. But any of the 4 other wide receivers, if they want to come out and play, if they're connecting on deep balls, they can beat anyone. So I'm going to take a shot. Green Bay plus 4.5. I have a feeling this might be the money line underdog that wins it, would be my Green Bay bet of the week. But yeah, I don't know. I think it's ugly. I don't feel super confident about it, but yeah, I like my chances on Green Bay to cover the 4.5. Don't know the chances of the outright, but potentially.
Yeah, just really quick. I said I was going to mention the strength of schedule for every game, and then 2 minutes later, I forgot to mention strength of schedule. So just quickly going back to Baltimore-Pittsburgh, they are 17-18, so no real discrepancy. Pittsburgh had technically the tougher schedule of the two, but by one team there, and then not much either for Denver-Buffalo. Buffalo was 19th, Denver 24th. So not much of a discrepancy there, but I guess that system would say play Pittsburgh and play Buffalo. This is the biggest discrepancy of the teams. Green Bay with the 5th toughest schedule, Philly with the 28th toughest schedule. So that would kind of put me on Green Bay here, but my reservation is Green Bay. Every time they've stepped up in class this year, they've lost. Lost to Philly, lost to Detroit twice, lost to Minnesota twice. So their track record against the good teams is not good. They have some decent wins in there. I think the Rams, they beat. I don't know the rest off the top of my head, but, those really kind of juggernaut teams, they weren't able to get victories over. And then I really just think Philly got shell-shocked last year at the end of their year. By losing all those games late and then getting bounced in the playoffs as a touchdown favorite against Tampa. And I just don't know if that's going to happen again this year. I think they're a much better version of their team than what they were last year. And, they're kind of similar to the Super Bowl team that we saw 2 years ago. So I don't know. I ultimately kind of think Philly wins the game. The spread's tough. I guess if Philly's going to win it, I'll put Philly down on the spread. I don't love it whatsoever. But yeah, I just think Philly, the recency, the memories that they have of last year, I think it's going to give them that kick to kind of get up and over Green Bay here.
That was pretty much exactly what I was thinking, so I'll keep mine pretty quick, and then I'll ask you a quick question, Ethan. Yeah, I think with the way it ended last year, I think Philly's going to fight tooth and nail for this one, like fight to the death, whereas Green Bay, I just don't know how bad they want it. I know everybody wants to win here, but somebody has to lose. I just think Philly at home has the edge here. Who are the top 3 in strength of schedule, like the hardest schedule?
So according to this, which in the shows that I listened to, they were saying Philly had the easiest strength of schedule, which, like I just said, they had 28th in this chart. So I don't really know what's super accurate, but on ESPN, San Fran is number 1, the Rams 2, Seattle 3. for what it's worth, Arizona 4. So that entire division is the top 4, according to ESPN.
Interesting.
Which seems weird because there's only one playoff team.
Right. I would not have thought that.
Yeah.
Well, we're not to the Rams yet. We're going to save them for last. Let's talk about Washington at Tampa Bay. The Buccaneers are 3-point home favorites. Ethan, can the Bucs do it again?
I think the Bucs can do it again. I like the Bucs to cover the spread here. I'm worried this could potentially end up being a public look. It looks like right now Washington is more of the public side, but I don't know. This game, to me, feels kind of easy. Maybe it's because I'm still a bit of a pessimistic Lions fan, and I just don't see any way that we luck out and get Washington next week. But yeah, I just think Tampa's way better. I think they played way better down the stretch. Their defense is looking better. Baker has been a stud all season long. Mike Evans is, doing his thing. The running game looks really good. Bucky Irving somehow was a 1,000-yard rusher this year when he barely even played to start the year. Yeah, I really like Tampa in this game. I just think they're ultimately the better team. Still don't really trust the Commanders' defense. Yeah, they went on to win their last 5 games of the year. One against the Eagles. Other than that, it was a bunch of non-playoff nobodies. And I thought it was a bad spot for the Eagles in that game. So I don't know. I just think Tampa's way better. They have the experience as well that Washington doesn't. Rookie quarterback on the road. Give me Tampa. I think Tampa wins and covers fairly easily.
Yeah, you guys ready to hear all the playoff teams that Washington has beat this year?
Go ahead.
Philly.
Besides Kenny Pickett in Philly, with Jalen Hurts getting knocked out in 3 minutes into the first quarter. That's the list. That's the list. I'm interested in their strength of the schedule. They got murdered by the Bucs week 1, lost by 17. Beat the Giants. Bengals was a good win. I'll give them that, but that was early. Cardinals, Browns, Panthers, Bears, Giants.
Giants.
Titans, Saints, Falcons was a good overtime win.
Yeah.
Cowboys. So you have that. I mean, yeah, 5 straight wins for Washington. Tampa Bay struggled in a must-win game in Week 18, barely squeaking by the Saints. They did win by 8, but they did come back to win that game. So I think it's just really easy to pick a Washington team that's putting up some points, blew expectations out of the water. Seeing Tampa Bay struggle against the Saints in a must-win game that I think they were a 15-point favorite in that one. I'm not betting a rookie quarterback on the road against Baker Mayfield, against the coach, against Mike Evans. There's no chance in hell. So give me Tampa Bay. I think Tampa Bay wins big. Probably my favorite wild card bet is Tampa Bay. You could just double or triple down on the money line or just lay the points if you want. But, yeah, I'm fairly confident in Tampa Bay winning this one big. And like Ethan mentioned, it would be beautiful if Washington won for us Lions fans, but it's never easy. It's never easy for us. So, give me Tampa Bay in pretty nasty fashion.
So it sounds like if there was going to be a squad ride, it would have been Tampa here because I'm also on Tampa with you guys. All the reasons you guys said, so I won't keep it very long. I love the rookie quarterback first playoff on the road. I love that from you, Ethan. Just think this one. I don't know if it's going to be super easy, but also I think Tampa Bay's defense is a little slept on. I don't think they're great, but I do think that they're better than people give them credit for. And Washington, once again, when I was looking at their metrics for that article, I was like, man, you could really do a Bucky Irving Baker Mayfield stack and come out pretty good because really you can beat those guys on the ground and through the air. So I'm with you guys on Tampa there. Let's get to this. Yes.
Quick strength of schedule. Yeah. Washington 30th. Again, the guys I was listening to had them at 31. And then Tampa 21. So Tampa's wasn't great, but Washington's was not good at all.
Tampa's just drugged down by the Panthers and Saints.
Yeah.
That's going to kill you. That's 4-year games.
And the Falcons.
And the Falcons, yeah. Guys, let's talk about the Minnesota Vikings heading to Los Angeles to face the Rams. Rams are 1.5-point home dogs. The only dogs besides Houston at home. This was the game between Detroit and Minnesota. Whoever lost, you had to go to the Rams. Minnesota lost in not a close game, guys. They got blown out. That was a pretty ugly game. Can they go in and can they get it done against the Los Angeles Rams, who have Puka Nacua, Cooper Kupp? What was it? Puka Nacua. I was trying to say Kupp and Puka at the same time. But
Cooper?
Kyron Williams,
Cooper
Matt Stafford.
I've seen that video once.
What do we think here, guys? Like, what are we making of this? Ethan, I'll go to you first because, I mean, I'm on Minnesota here just because I think maybe Sam Darnold gets it done, but I'm not confident in this one at all.
I am not either. Strength of schedule. Get it out of the way here quick so I don't forget on the last game. Rams second, as mentioned just a few minutes ago. Vikings ninth. So 2 tough schedules.
Okay.
Again, shocked that the Rams are tougher strength of schedule than Minnesota. But the Rams had to play Minnesota and Detroit and Green Bay. I don't know. First off, I don't even know if this game is going to be played, or if it is, I don't know if it's going to be in LA because of all the fires going on there. So stay tuned for that. That could really change some things. I don't have much to say. I'm going to lean Minnesota, but it is like, this is Notre Dame, Penn State. It is a true coin flip. Yeah. I don't know. Give me Minnesota, I guess. I don't love this game yet.
Yeah. The winner of this is 90%. If we are right on Tampa Bay, 90% going to play Detroit. 2 good stories. It was a better story last year with Matthew Stafford making his homecoming back in Detroit in the playoff game. I think a better story this year is the Vikings playing Detroit for the 3rd time, which is terrifying. Either one's terrifying here, but I like the side on Minnesota here. Really bad, ugly game against Detroit. They still are the favorite against the Rams, who have looked pretty solid this year, or pretty solid with once everyone got back with Kupp and Puka coming back from injury. So I'm gonna just trust that the original line, the original odd makers were on the Vikings. I'm gonna trust that their opinion was correct. So give me Minnesota for a nasty 3rd game against Detroit. I don't even know how you game plan for that, but I think that's what's gonna happen next week. So give me Minnesota. I think they win it outright. I think the Rams are a little too obvious, a little too public for me. So Minnesota money line. I think they'll get it done.
What do you guys think if they can't play in LA? Throw it into Ford Field. Make the Vikings play in Ford 3 times.
Do it.
Well, yeah. I would hate that. They don't need to get acclimated more to our stadium.
All right.
I do have a question, though. While
Yeah.
we're on, does Sam Darnold deserve comeback player of the year? I saw a funny tweet that was like, comeback from what? Being ass?
I say yeah. Going 14-3.
You think he deserves it?
I think so. Who's leading right now?
Him.
It is him?
It's like
okay.
him and Burrow, I believe. Or no, him and...
I wouldn't pick Burrow. You didn't even make
I forgot
the
who.
rules.
I forgot who the other... I don't know. I just don't... Like, what did he come back from?
Right. Be an ass, man. That's good enough for me. Like, honestly, that's good enough for me. Didn't Joe Flacco win it?
I don't...
A year or so ago, or at least he was in it.
Well, yeah, Joe did because everyone... Because DraftKings stole money from every DeMar Hamlin supporter. That's what happened.
Yeah. Yes.
It
I mean, I know
baited us with,
I've got money on Aaron Rodgers comeback player of the year. I don't think it's going to cash, though, because he was terrible.
I think I do, too. Or MVP. Either one. They're both as dead as it gets.
Yes. Yeah. What do you think, Wyatt?
I am just worried about my MVP bet. It's turning out that all these accolades at the end of the year are not performance-based at all. It's all politics. And the worst one of them all is Coach of the Year because it never goes to the good coach. And just like comeback player of the year, I think it's pretty political as well. MVP has turned out to become more and more political. So I don't know. I'm just rooting for Josh Allen, which I don't even understand how he's the favorite anymore. But I don't know. His stats aren't there. I guess if you throw, run, and catch a pass in the same game, touchdown, I guess that does it. But I don't know. I'm hoping Josh wins, but if they give it to Burrow, I'll be pissed because that's called we're in desperation mode. We're gonna launch the ball 60 times a game.
If Burrow wins, Stafford should have won like 4 times in Detroit.
Right. That's this game doesn't matter. Let me chuck the ball 80 yards, dude. Right. 2 Pro Bowl wide receivers. Shut the fuck up.
Can we talk about real quick too? MVP, we have, obviously the main two. You have Allen and you got Lamar Jackson. Then you got Burrow on the stats. You've got, I know he wasn't great, but record is a big thing that they always take into account. Patrick Mahomes going 15-1, and then you have Saquon Barkley going over 2,000 yards. Like, that's crazy to have all that in 1 year.
Yeah.
Yeah. I quick just pulled up the odds. Joe Burrow is actually the favorite for comeback player of the year, minus 250, with Darnold at plus 160. Guess who's sneaking just behind them in fourth? It's our boy DeMar again. DeMar Hale.
No. He's going to be on there every year, dude.
Guess who's sixth? This is mind-blowing because he didn't do much at all. Lions third receiver, Tim Patrick. Not sure.
What?
Not sure what's going on with these. Yeah. J.K. Dobbins is third. Christian Gonzalez, Justin Herbert, Kyler, Keaton Mitchell. I don't know what he's coming back from. T.J. Hawkinson didn't do anything this year.
No.
It's interesting.
I have a bet minus 4,000 Tyreek Hill out of Miami.
Love it.
Cashed it. They let me cash out already. Throw them up.
Maybe.
All right, guys, that's going to do it for this episode of Intentional Lounge. We'll be back with more content for you guys later. Me and Ethan have a question that we'll be breaking down later in this week. Is the 49ers dynasty over? Find out our thoughts on that video. Make sure you guys check out bettergreen.com for our articles, and we'll see you guys in the next episode. Peace, guys.
Later, guys.
See you guys.
Flexing on the haters, can't touch my score. Money like Jerry Rice, touchdowns galore. Week after week, always asking for more. Bling on the wrist, got the books on the floor. Listen in, cash out, page is swelling. Plays on the field, see me winning, never dwelling. Flagged on Vegas, they know what I'm selling. NFL bets keep the cheesy compelling. Flexing on the haters, can't touch my score. Money like Jerry.